Well, there you are. Thanks so much for staying with us. It's time for us to talk, and there's so much to talk about. Let's welcome Eric Twum. He's one of the government spokespersons on the DTT, Digital Terrestrial Television situation, but not just that. He often speaks on behalf of government on a myriad of issues. Let's hear more from him today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kojo.
Also, we're very happy that the Member of Parliament for Myong constituency in the northern region has been able to join us. He was not arrested on his way here or at home. Mohammed Abdulaziz is with us. Good morning. Thank you so much for making the time.
Good morning, and thank you too.
Right, we have a lot to talk about. But because we have you, and because I've heard you speak on DTT quite a few times, I want us to clear up a couple of things, if we can, Eric, before we move on to other issues. So, to begin with, we heard the Deputy Minister tell us that there has been no approval at Cabinet or Parliament level for an agreement with StarTimes to come and do the enhancement of the DTT project. But then we also saw the letter that the Minister wrote to the Attorney General, where Madam Owusu Ekufo said that they have already signed a contract with StarTimes following Cabinet approval. So who are we to believe, the Deputy or the Minister?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning once again. Good morning to the viewers. I think that, this StarTimes issue has been brewing for a while, and I would take it from the genesis, or even the whole idea of why we wanted to do, we have to do the DTT and the sort of benefits that would accrue to us. Now, we should have done this some time back, I think somewhere in 2015, but a plethora of things happened where since 2012, we were meant to have at least finished this thing by 2015. The StarTimes were actually brought into this country by the then NDC government. They are already here with us. They run some private commercial channels, and apparently there was a breach along the line in terms of being able to secure the funding to finish the project. So government at the time thought that it was imperative to abrogate the deal and give it to another entity called KNET, which is a Ghanaian-owned company. KNET has also done something to a certain level, and it looks like they also truncated at a point that still needs a bit of enhancement. The issue of StarTimes actually being given the DTT to wholly manage and basically superintend over is actually something that is not happening. The minister has stated categorically that an entity is going to be set up which would actually do that, an independent entity which will have a CEO, which will have a board, so that the sort of disquiet that's coming from Kiba and other people has been cured. So as far as I'm concerned, the minister has stated categorically that the sort of issues that people had with a certain orientation that the Ghana government was giving StarTimes the DTT to run and manage, it's not something that is going to happen. Now, as to the sort of technical expertise that StarTimes will bring on board, I think that the initial idea was that some 300 communities will be given DTT access and free digital viewing experiences and all that. And also, even the current system, technology has a way of evolving, and even what was done by KNET as we speak, apparently, it's not fit for purpose today. The technology has moved on, and that the capacity to actually even add more channels doesn't exist. So there will be a need for some kind of
Is that the case?
No, I mean that's coming from the aspects that I think that what we have has up to about 40 channels that can be put on.
And it cannot be expanded?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that it still needs some kind of enhancement. So really, I believe that I heard the minister on Saturday on one of your news files stated categorically that StarTimes had not been given the DTT to run. Now, that means that there's probably an opportunity for that to happen as we go forward. I also believe, and I think I made that point, that even in this particular case, KNet and other local Ghanaian companies also have an opportunity to play in that space. What, for me, is a bit worrying is a certain almost, if you like, xenophobic conversation or commentary that is coming in. Because you see, without being mischievous, I mean, if you turn on your TV today and you ask me, what are even the most popular TV programs that we watch? Coming from members of GIBA themselves. You know, and sometimes I feel that it's important that we do not create a certain perception that, or even a certain outlook that smacks of double standards and hypocrisy to start with. So we've been doing this, even KNet as a company, when was given the opportunity to run it, went back to China to engage experts to bring them to play. And we live in an environment where it's become a global stage where people, I mean, are able to move across, you're able to deploy technology and all of those things across so many different platforms and use different expertise regardless of where you come from. I think that sometimes it's important that we look at it from that perspective rather than, oh, it's coming from China, it's coming from Vietnam, it's coming from the US, it's coming from Germany.
That's interesting.
And all of it. So because
you're suggesting that GIBA is being xenophobic?
No, I'm saying, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that the commentary, you understand? So if you're not careful and you make it look like it's something is a Ghana and a China issue whereby, oh, we're giving it to a Chinese company. I'm saying that. I shudder sometimes at that kind of commentary because the truth of the matter is that regardless of what we do in this day and age, we cannot do without collaborating with people from different parts of the world.
But you
and
said
Ghana
yourself,
yeah.
most of GIBA's members broadcast programs from other parts of the world.
Exactly.
So can it really be xenophobia if they are already embracing?
No, I'm not. I think you're going. I'm saying
you brought it up the word.
I'm saying that
I didn't make it up.
I'm saying that the commentary. You understand? So, for instance, if somebody says that, oh, why are we giving digital landscape to a Chinese company to do, for instance, and that commentary that comes from,
right.
And I'm saying that is not the case. And even in that particular instance, it is not the case that we are giving it to the DTT to a Chinese company to run.
Because that would be a bad thing, would it not?
No, that's government.
If we were to hand over
exactly because that's
so broadcasting
I back that idea 100%, totally. That it's imperative that we give ourselves that opportunity to be able to manage it. You see, it also feeds into even a bigger conversation. So we're talking about digital terrestrial technology. And so you'd ask yourself, I mean, is this something that is so complicated that we cannot even have an opportunity to give some young Ghanaian engineering students or computer students to be able to learn and plug in so that as time goes on, as we move forward, this is not something that should be given to a foreign company or a foreign entity.
How do we? To KNet, a Ghanaian company.
No, but that's what I'm saying. How do we? A
foreign company to enhance it.
No. But you see, initially, so my question would be, KNet existed before it was given to StarTimes to start with.
It was given to a Ghanaian company.
No,
that
but that's
Ghanaian company then handed over their interest to StarTimes.
Well, I mean, but all of these things have happened. And I think that if you delve deeper, it would be that at that time, either that Ghanaian entity did not have the requisite capacity or expertise. And even in all of these
Neither
things,
did StarTimes.
in all of these things, there was an issue to do with funding, right? And I don't want this conversation to be about almost like a Ghanaian company and a foreign entity.
I agree with that.
Because if I do, because there's some kind of mischief, undercurrent, propaganda coming from there.
I think
but
I agree with
if
that,
sometimes if I sit on this platform and I'm putting on my political hat, I can now dissect even the entity KNET itself, and it will not inure to that entity, and it will be almost unfair to them. You understand?
Yes,
and
to
politicize it. Yeah. So if I were even from the other side, I would tone down this conversation about KNET a little bit. You understand? Because you see, when you do so, you expose the entity itself to scrutiny, and there's a lot of things that we know by dint of where we sit. You understand? So for me,
well, if you know something about KNET, that's
it is not important.
The public ought to be aware
but
of.
that is why I'm saying that it's imperative, especially when I would urge and I would expect that if KNET has the capacity and has certain things to contribute as we go along, should be given the opportunity to do so as a Ghanaian company. I will not be drawn into that just to create issues.
I would like to bring Mr. Abdulaziz into it in a moment, but I just need to check one thing with you, because you've talked about how we ought not look at it as a Ghana-China situation. So let's look at the company itself, StarTimes. This is not the first country they've operated in. We know of what happened when they were in Zambia. Again, over there, they were not brought in to come and take over the entire broadcasting network. They were brought in on a contract to build something. They built it. The government of Zambia could not keep up to the terms of the agreement. And as a result, now as we speak, StarTimes is in full control of digital broadcasting in Zambia. The same thing that you and the government is assuring Ghana will never happen, has happened before. So I think what I'm interested in is, how is government making sure that Ghana doesn't go the way of Zambia?
Well, I mean, I can tell you for a fact that Ghana is not Zambia to start with. And
but how do we make sure we don't become Zambia?
So again, the various stakeholders, that's government and even the other entities, and people who are meant to be given the opportunity to superintend over this particular transaction and contract, if there is. And I'm not suggesting that the DTT would go to StarTimes, but I feel that StarTimes really, in terms of the role that they are playing today, really would not have anything that would have to have those repercussions where they would have to take over our digital terrestrial.
Have you seen the contract?
I haven't seen the contract.
So how do you know
Yeah,
this?
but that is why I'm saying that. You see, it's also imperative to look at it from the perspective, and I made this point. This is 2018. The minister has stated categorically that the control, the management of our digital terrestrial operations is going to be managed by an entity, DCTL, that is going to be superintended over by a CEO with a board in place. The makeup of that board is going to come from the people, stakeholders in that particular, so some key-board members, I'm sure, communicate, NCA, and all of those things, which are institutional representation on a board. Now, I don't believe for 1 minute that with this sort of entity in place, with this sort of structure in place, we'll be able to allow for a situation where our digital terrestrial control goes to a foreign entity or even to one company. And so,
but
for
just
instance,
like
the issues to do
the
with
work they will do is to be funded by a loan from the Chinese government, just like Zambia.
No, but so for instance,
if you haven't seen the contract,
for instance,
how do you know that we
in
don't
this
have some
particular
clause in there that could result
no,
in
but
us
in this
handing
particular
over
in this particular
network
instance,
to them?
the monies that is meant to be used to fund the next stage of this process is actually going to be one of the spectrums that the government is going to put out as tender, right, to fund the process.
So we're not using the EXIM facility anymore?
So, but this EXIM facility was something that pertained some time back.
Are we
now,
using that
as we speak? I am not sure.
Work?
No, StarTimes is not doing any work for government as we speak.
No, but what's the agreement?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That has been signed by the minister.
Yeah, but that is what StarTimes are going to do, right, is to take it from the stage that KNET had left it, right, to enhance the process. Now, the entity that would control and manage that particular DTT is not going to be StarTimes. And I'm saying that in terms of the funding sources for it, the EXIM, the China EXIM thing, that was actually the initial, that was the initial agreement that had been entered into. And by dint of the fact that there were certain either delays or breaches or whatever, that was truncated. You see, there's also another angle to this. I mean, some of these issues actually, went to court. It went through certain processes. And I believe that government has the right to also enter into some kind of alternative dispute resolutions. So there are some people who are saying that, oh, by virtue of the fact that the issue has been taken to court and there's still an existing one in court, maybe the government should allow it to go to the full hog so that will determine what. But I mean, sometimes at every point in this process, it's not necessary to be so litigious, especially when there are so many other things that we can collaborate with other entities.
We'll hear a bit more from you on this, but it's about time we hear from Mr. Abdul Aziz as well. Now, you've just come back from China, haven't you?
Yes, I came back from China on Sunday.
And your government has, dealt with the Chinese.
Yes, we did.
But you're criticizing this government's attempts to do the same. What's the problem?
It is not accurate to suggest that we are unhappy with this government dealing with China.
Really? Criticize the bauxite deal?
This too? We did on merit, and it is proper and fair that we look at issue after issue. If you were to look at the 2 billion Sino hydro deal that we criticize, we raise questions. In the first place, the argument of government is that this is not a loan facility, when indeed by all the features of that facility, it is a loan facility. And the reason why they don't want to classify it as a loan is well known to all of us, that they don't want our loan portfolio to increase. They have done a lot of.
We'll go into that another time.
So I just want to set the record straight that we have no problem with government dealing with the Chinese government. I, together with some other members of parliament from both the minority and the majority side, were in China for almost 2 weeks. And I can tell you that the Chinese want to stamp their feet in Africa. If you ask me what we went to do, I will tell you that basically the Chinese are out to indoctrinate everybody about their governance, about their culture, and about everything about them. I mean, China is an emerging economy, whether you like it or not. And they will be able to prove with you with data that in the next 5 to 10 years, their economy would surpass that of the US. And so they are now battling virtually with the West, especially US, for their presence in Africa. They want to take charge of Africa. And so you'd see them coming with all manner of projects and proposals. And so as a government, we have every duty to scrutinize whatever comes to our table for some contact of a sort. Now, speaking on the project to assess about 300 villages or communities in Ghana to a satellite television broadcasting. You see, you said you haven't seen the contracts, and you are one of the lead communicators on the project. That in itself is problematic.
That's the other one.
They're talking about a contract between NDTT. To do the DTT. That's a different thing.
The digital terrestrial television broadcast actually saw a lot of efforts under President Mills when Honorable Haruna Idrisu was at the Ministry of Communications. In fact, I have worked at the Ministry of Communications before, so I am privy to some of the intricacies involved with KNET and StarTimes and some of the political repercussions. But for some of them, I'm unable to to get into.
Hey, both of you.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but that is what I'm saying.
Something in the soup about these companies that you can't tell us.
Yes, and
you
he's
are
telling
our
you,
representative.
and he's telling you that putting on his political hat, he would be able to unveil KNET. And so there are political undertones with all these. You see, interestingly, Giba is not a political institution. They have raised concerns. I personally have concerns about content of broadcasting in Ghana. You see, we work at the speed of light on the issue of RTI. I hope we could attach same importance to content. Today, you turn on your television, and local content is virtually zero, and that is worrying for almost all the television stations, and you can understand why. And so, for us to be hurrying to get the Chinese to cover as much as 300 communities, you must also be worried about the issue of content. Issues of tax waivers have been raised. All that you need to do is to engage properly. Now, if you argue that StarTimes is coming to continue from where KNET stopped, it only means that you have abrogated the contract of KNET.
But KNET does not have a contract with government.
So
on DTT?
No, there's not an existing contract. No, there's no abrogation of contract.
Some clarity on that.
So I just said two things. No, whether there is no contract or there's no abrogation, I am telling you.
As far as I'm concerned,
gentlemen, there's an important thing we need to clarify here. KNET says, we've spoken to KNET, and they are saying that their contract includes the management of what they have set up so far for the next 4 years.
Yeah, includes.
Yes. Okay. So when you say there is no contract with KNET, is that accurate?
No, but that is what I'm saying, that KNET had done their work to a certain point. So you're talking about management of what they have done so far.
Yes, they want a tender, a bid to provide a network to a certain specification. That is why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying that. So and they're supposed to manage it for 4 years.
So they're managing what they have done for the next 4 years. And I have also stated that what we have now, even what we have today, is not fit for purpose. It has to be enhanced. You understand? So my understanding and their understanding is that if we want to enhance...
Is it your personal understanding?
No, but that is what it is. That is what it is.
No, let us be very sure
but
it is the position
but
of
that
government.
is why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying that. You see, when we do this thing, I think that you found a way of actually surreptitiously bringing back KNET. But when you do that, you understand, it creates a certain almost focus on KNET as a company, which is not fair.
We want to focus on what we are getting as a country.
My professional orientation and everything.
Governance and value for money.
Exactly. So let's make sure. But I have absolutely. And let me make it.
So what's the reason why the government did not ask the same company?
I do not
to do the enhancement.
I won't be able to answer that. But the point
is that why you refer to as a political?
No, but that is that is not
to lift the veil on KNET.
No.
Is that where you're coming from?
That's not what.
I'm just asking a question.
No, that's not what it means. What it means is that, you see, there are also always two sides to a story, two sides to a coin as well. And I'm saying that if we are looking at it from that perspective, then the management of the existing infrastructure has not been taken away from KNET. Has it?
No,
have they come out to say that
there is no contract?
Yeah, but because there's no contract, you see, there's no existing contract with KNET that has been abrogated. That's my point. And KNET is present in Ghana. So
and yet StarTimes is coming to continue where KNET stops.
No, but that is...
So you see the inconsistency in your argument.
How is the inconsistency?
At the end of the day, I would want to appeal that let us cut out the excessive partisanship. Let us be interested in content of broadcasting in this country. We should be interested. Look, I intend to file a question to the Minister for Finance to come and tell us how much government has doled out in respect of tax waivers. It is just too much. At the very time that we are crying for revenue, the tax waivers, especially for foreign entities, is one too many, and we must be worried about it. And so, Giba, if you are dealing with a minority or the NDC as an opposing party, you must deal with Giba as a state institution. You must deal with GIBA as a professional institution that is interested in getting value for money and also getting proper content in broadcasting. You must cut away the excessive partisanship.
No, I don't think that anybody has done.
Why? I say I have worked at the communications ministry before. Myself and you know some of the political undertones in some of these things that we are doing. It does not augur well for our country. Why? China, we have no problem with China. We dealt with China when we were in government from 2009 to 2016. Once the terms are good for you, I mean, we will not stand on your way. But on this program, why? You have a project to migrate to a digital platform. Halfway, you are virtually stopping it, and you are now dealing with another project of making 300 communities access some digital transmission. How does that fit into the master project of migrating the entire Ghana into a digital? Look, even before 2017, some boxes were being procured just to help communities, those with analog televisions, to be able to migrate. We had gone very, very far to migrate onto the digital terrestrial transmission. And so for you to now come and be doing this thought thing is worrying. You must go for the master project. You must be interested in a local company that has a capacity. If you have no qualms, if you have no any adverse findings against KNET and the contract that is signed with government, nothing stops you from proceeding with him. Cut off the excessive partisanship. It's not in the interest of Ghana. That's my
well, I mean, I don't think that I want to go too much deeper into that. Because
maybe we should move on to
we can move on to
the other things that I want us to talk about today.
Let me tell you something. When you do this, right? For instance, you know the Deputy Minister for Communications,
Atusapo.
Former deputy.
Yes. He left KNET as Chief Operations Officer to become Deputy Minister of Communications.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you can adduce all sorts of things to that.
Adduce what?
Then there's also other things. But that is not really the point.
But that is very interesting.
But that is why I'm saying that.
That is very interesting.
But that is why I am saying that. That is why I'm saying that if me, right, today, there's an opportunity for KNET as a company, a Ghanaian company, to play in that space, I would support it 100%. But don't try and sit here and create a certain perception that we rather are involved in partisanship. Because you see, when you do that, it gives me the inclination that I need to also come out like this. So please, let's stop this. Let's stop. No, but let's stop this.
Told you that the
so you can adduce all sorts of interpretations.
Let's get this clear. Are you saying that
I'm not saying. I am saying
KNET today does not have the opportunity to
I did not say that.
I did not platform that they built.
No, I did not say.
Because this government says that a former employee of that company became a deputy minister.
I did not say that.
But you brought it up.
No, I did not say that. I am saying that. I'm saying that he sat here and said that we are involved in excessive partnership, partisanship. And I'm saying that the guy who you're talking about became a member of your government. So,
which guy?
But I mean, I'm saying that the Atusapo became a part of
is not available in the equation.
But it has but that is why I am saying
this. Is not available in the equation.
Listen. That is why I'm saying. That is why I'm saying that.
What has Atusapo got to do with enhancing the network today?
No, it has nothing to do with that. I have absolutely no problem.
Why did he come up in this conversation?
Come out of the shell.
No, I am saying that. I am saying that.
Atusapo was.
No, I didn't. No, I'm saying that. I'm saying that. He sat here.
A deputy minister.
No, he wasn't. He moved from. No, but that's what I'm saying. That we are saying that. We are indulging in partisanship. And I'm saying that when you say that becomes double standards because he was politically exposed, but it's nothing.
We'll have to talk about something else.
I can go on and say other things.
Politically exposed.
Right. Let's talk about something else.
But you accused us of doing partisanship.
We'll have to leave that where it is.
If that is the case,
I advise
you cannot.
That as a country, we should cut off the excessive.
No, but you,
right.
but
Okay.
you
Now
cannot
come out of
absorb
your shell.
yourself.
You have
About
come out
some
of
of
your
your
shell.
we'll leave
You
our
have come out
audience
of
to
your
decide what everything they've heard so far actually means. We'll leave our audience to decide that. But just yesterday, the Speaker of Parliament expressed his outrage at the fact that the police did not write to Parliament before going to Collins Dowda's house in the execution of some investigation that they are doing. Now, let me get this clear. Collins Dowda was not arrested, was he?
Well, as it stands now, the police would need to clarify the difference between inviting someone for questioning and arresting that same person. We need to get
so far, the language that we've heard from the police is that they invite. In fact, they went to his home, didn't they?
No, you don't. You don't invite someone by storming his residence at dawn.
So they went to his home
with well-armed
Very good.
policemen.
So they went to his
That's not how you
home,
invite
but
people.
they did not arrest Mr. Dowda.
He was not.
Okay.
He was not at
All right.
home.
Okay. All right. Very good. So then we definitely know they did not arrest Mr. Dowda. But
They
the
went
speaker.
to arrest him. He was not at home.
Yes. So they did not arrest him. Okay.
And so they have not also invited him for questioning.
All right. Now, the Speaker of Parliament was unhappy about this. He feels that the privilege, the parliamentary privilege, is being abused. I'm glad you're here because you are a member of Parliament.
Yeah.
Even more interestingly, you don't belong to the same side as the Speaker.
Yeah.
So I think this will make for interesting conversation because my understanding of the parliamentary privilege when it comes to arrest, and I'm happy to be corrected, is that when a member of Parliament is on his way to and or from Parliament,
Or at Parliament.
or at Parliament, and I think there is another one that says or engaged in parliamentary business.
Business, yeah.
Yes. If any of these four things is happening, the MP may not be arrested. Now, the Speaker is unhappy that the police went to Collins Dowda's home, as you say, probably with the aim of arresting him.
Well armed.
Yes, well armed, as the police are legally allowed to be. But the Speaker is unhappy that parliamentary privilege was not recognized. How does the Speaker know that Mr. Collins Dowda at that time was engaged in parliamentary business, or on his way to Parliament, or on his way from Parliament, or at Parliament? How does the Speaker know this, based upon which he can object to the absence of parliamentary privilege, being recognized? He says they should have written to Parliament first before going to his house.
How's the procedure?
The procedure is that if you wish to arrest a member of Parliament who is on his way to, on his way from, at Parliament, or engaged in parliamentary work, you must write to them first. But if the member of Parliament is not on his way to, on his way from, at Parliament, or engaged in parliamentary business, must we still write to Parliament?
So when do you decide whether I'm going to Parliament or not? Right from your
if you
studios here.
intend to arrest him while he's on his way to, on his way from,
I'll
at
just ask
Parliament,
a simple
or
question.
engaged in parliamentary
How
business.
would you be able to determine that as I am seated here, I am on my way to Parliament or not? But even before we come to that conversation,
Please, let's be clear. While you are sitting here, you are not on your way to Parliament.
Why?
You are at multi
media.
You are at multi TV.
even before we come to that nitty-gritty, we cannot discuss this issue without looking at the governance structure and style that we are witnessing today. And I can tell you that the arrest or the attempt to arrest Honorable Collins Dowda is not a new phenomenon. It is something that some of us are not surprised about. It has been the strategy of this government since they assumed power, that any time that their back is against the wall, what they do is to find a way to divert the public attention. And so the arrest was just to divert public attention and nothing beyond that. In fact, I thank you so much, JoyNews, for still highlighting issues on the Ministry of Communications deal with StarTimes. But check all your sister stations this morning, and I can tell you that issue has been swept under the carpet. The topic today for discussion would be the purported arrest of Honorable Collins Dowda. And that's the strategy of this government. Why? We're all in this country when the issues of 110 ministers and deputy ministers came about. Then they alleged that some 234 government vehicles were stolen by the former appointees. What has happened to that allegation?
So you are saying it's the government's agenda to divert
public attention, and I'm telling you that, look.
But this is interesting, because you recall when I briefed you on what we'll be discussing today.
Yes.
It did not include that.
Yes.
Who suggested that we include it?
The
Collins Dauda issue.
I did.
So who is diverting attention here?
You are not getting me right. I am telling you that the arrest of Honorable Collins Dauda was only meant to divert attention from very serious issues happening in this country. You are aware, for instance, that whilst the president was abroad, is admitting that we're in some challenging times, but not in crisis. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, somewhere in the north, is talking about some fake spare parts dealers, right? He has come under some scrutiny. Government, we have the issue of DTT, sorry. You see, a lot of issues, when their back is against the wall, all that they do is to get a story just to divert the attention of the public. And I'm telling you that media houses in this country, the ordinary Ghanaian on the streets of Ghana, must understand that this purported arrest was just to divert public attention. Look, when the announced number 12 video was shown, to divert attention from that, we were told by the CID that Mr. Nyentechi alleged that the same businessman that he was dealing with had financed the campaigns of the NDC. That didn't fly. When the issue of Ameri came, whilst we were still dealing with Ameri, then there was a reshuffle of government appointees. And so at every time, what I have observed right from January 2017 up to date is that any time government back is against the wall, what they do is to divert public attention. And that's what they did in this instance. Now, coming to the issue of the arrest and whether it was in compliance with the law. The law requires you, and if we are not comfortable with it as a country, we have every right and opportunity to review that portion of the law.
Tell us what the law requires.
The 1992 Constitution is the supreme law of this country. Parliament is not claiming to be above the law. Members of Parliament cannot arrogate to themselves some special dispensation. We are all subject to the laws of this country. And the laws of this country also stipulates that you cannot arrest a member of Parliament on his way to work, on his way from work, or when he's engaged in a parliamentary activity. In fact, I don't know which specific part of the law.
Forgive me, but I hear there's something happening right now that we need to pay attention to. We will come back to this discussion. But we're picking up reports that residents of Takwa have blocked the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources and his deputy from using a road that enters the town. They are protesting the bad nature of that road. And the minister has been in the western region with key officials from the Minerals Commission, touring mining communities on his first assignment there. Now, my colleague Justice Bedu is right there on the scene. He joins us with some details. Justice, if you can hear me, tell us what exactly is happening on the road to Takwa.
So, Kojo, virtually the entire Takwa township has come to a standstill this morning as youth in the town, including the chiefs, have come out clad in red and blocked the road leading into the main town. Where I'm currently standing is a few meters away from where they are burning ties and have actually blocked the entrance to a guest house where the Minister of Natural Resources and his deputy are currently lodging. The word has gone out all this week since we've been here with the minister touring some mining communities that the minister is around, and the people here have been complaining for months, if not for years, about the terrible nature of the road, and according to them, haven't had any good response. In fact, if you look all behind me, that is traffic that has built up. It goes as far as more than 5 kilometers this morning. Nobody is going into Takwa and nobody is coming out this morning, Kojo. As I speak to you, we are able to reach where the minister and his deputy are, because the road leading to his guest house, I mean the hotel where he is lodging, has been blocked, Kojo.
Right, Justice, tell me about the security situation. Are the police on the scene? Is there any provision for the protection of those at the guest house or those who might be affected by this action of the crowd, the mob?
Kojo, I can say it's a very chaotic situation. This is more like an unplanned demonstration. I doubt if the police in this town were even notified of this action this morning, and so I haven't seen any police detail here. Like I said, I mean this really came unplanned. All of this week we have been going back and forth into the town of Takwa with a very long convoy of ministers and key officials from the Minerals Commission. And I think this is what part of the things that has angered people in this town. Every time we have crossed with our convoy in the town, people have been hurling lots of insults at us, thinking that because we are in the convoy, we are probably ministers of state or government officials who are in the town, complaining bitterly about the terrible nature of the road that is leading to this town. Takwa, for our viewers, is one of the oldest mining towns in this country. Mining has happened here for over 100 years, and yet if you come into this town, there's very little to show for the huge amount of money that has gone out of not just Takwa, but surrounding communities like Bogoso, Prestia, and the likes. And so, Kojo, I do not think the police is on top of the situation. I doubt there's any police detail here.
How long has this demonstration been going on?
Now.
Tell us, how long has the demonstration been going on?
We just arrived here. I got here about 10 minutes ago, but my understanding from the people I've spoken to now says this has been going on since about 7 a.m. this morning.
So tell us about the road in question, Justice. What is the state of this road? Why are the people so up in arms about a lack of attention to the road?
So for people who do not know the geography of this area, this Takwa basically connects to the southern part of the western region, to Takrady, through Agonan Kwanta, and then towns like in Swayim. Nearly half of that road is now in a very, very deplorable state. I mean, for people who have been watching Joy News, we have been doing series of stories on the nature of the road, especially about 5 or 10 kilometers into the town itself. It's really terrible, Kojo, and has brought a bad impact on many businesses here. And so people have been protesting. In the last 1 month, even our correspondents here have been doing a lot of stories on the road. I have with me one of the people who are demonstrating this morning, and so I'll just go straight to him. Brother, now anope what about police farmer and why demonstration here?
Yeah, but police funim. Takwa in fun so wide and wonim. Mbonchawa yan ya gana fo. Yan kaon ina nanado oba power. Na send yan kwana sana nanado so nka se nwa. Yan so ba ya chene de chene nanado nya wa unde takwa mai. Takwa yan this MPP fu I sit. Takwa bi ya bi oba tu bia no. And this MPP fun wide wonya. Na samra suna se waso nka se nwa. Yan so ba ya chene de chegana fo. No una mpa yan so ya ya kan bi. Ami am kasa me taxi driver from the dog one. Na ma me de yan ani able. Yali am nanado una mpa yan ani abe. Wa able o sana se me ka say. No na give me some. Na me nya adwuma nya na nado an Robin awi ina maye o se na me nya adwuma nya na me nya me nidi enti awi ina makwakwa na maden manya bi di ahwame ma etu ompre be ya wi dia on the sound wonya qualify them one for mine me don't say.
Okay, so he was actually in a hurry to join the other demonstrators who are a bit far off. We are currently unable to get to where the real action is because of the traffic, and so I'm just making my way to the place where I understand there's a lot of action, burning of tires this morning here in Takwa, protesting the terrible nature of the roads that are leading into this mining town, Kojo.
Now, Justice, tell us, has the convoy or the members of the delegation, have they been engaged on this matter at any point during their visit? You talked about how people had been raining insults on the convoy every time it passed on the road. But had anyone approached the minister or any of his entourage formally about this problem regarding the road to the mining town of Takwa?
Kojo, we came here on Monday, and we've so far been to about 4 key mining towns in this region and also in the central region. And everywhere we have been, be it chiefs, be it community leaders, even the people who work in the mines themselves have been complaining bitterly, I might tell you, about the roads. Not just in Takwa, in Dunkwao, the road connecting Ayamfure to the Dunkwao township, Dunkwao as well, is a huge and a significant historical mining town. Is also very, very bad. And so the chief, the acting head of the Dintra traditional area, told us about the terrible nature of the road in Takwa, in Dunkwao, and how it is affecting the town. We were in Pristia and Bogoso. There again, we were greeted with complaints about how governments in the past have promised to no end and promised to fix the road. And according to them, and I have seen it for myself, really nothing has changed on some of the major roads here. And so the roads has been key in some of the discussions that many people have been having with the minister and his entourage since we've been here over the last 3 days. Kojo, I have with me one of the demonstrators. Why are you out here this morning?
Okay, this morning we are out here with the whole chiefs of Apinto and the Suso. We are here because of our road. Our road from Takrade to Takwa is a very bad road. And then we are demonstrating to plead to the government that the government should take a look at it. Taking a look at Bogoso Junction to Abos was constructed by the mine. So the mine, we cannot still insist to fix this road. We therefore need the government to fix this road for us. Thank you very much.
So have you notified the police? There's a lot of chaos here this morning. Business activity has come to a halt. Exactly. Are you mindful of the impact of your actions on business in this town today? Exactly.
We are mindful of every activity going on here because we are doing it not for ourselves only. What we are doing, we are helping everybody on this land and Ghana as a whole. So therefore, if you are wasting an individual, 2 hours of each individual, I think we are trying to develop our community, or we are trying to develop Ghana. So we therefore need the government to take a look at this and then help us with our road. Thank you.
What has been the response of your community leaders, your members of parliament, assemblymen, and all the key leaders in these past months when you've been complaining about this road?
Yeah, this thing has gone far, and then the chiefs with MC themselves have been with the government. I think when they went to the government, things are still not true. So therefore, even with our chiefs and our community leaders, they are part of this action which is going on here. So we are all with the the chiefs, the elders, just to make sure that this main road is being constructed, not an ordinary one, but an asphalt, because the government made us know that Takwa, Bogoso, and Obuasi, this is where we get the resources from. And therefore, our roads, the development has to start from here. So we are pleading the government to take a look at this one as well.
Yes. So yeah. This was also one. It's also one of the people who is demonstrating today. As you can see, this is a pickup full of demonstrators who are protesting the nature of the road coming into Takwa. Tell us, sir. Are you mindful of the impact of this action this morning on business activity here in Takwa?
We are not mindful. Nananom, who organized this thing, told all of us that this is the first one that they are doing. If we didn't hear anything from the government, the second one will be coming. When we are coming from the site, everybody is telling us that we have done well. It means the whole Takwa is not happy with this road. We don't know what happened. I don't normally speak on TV, but today you are lucky I'm speaking to you. It's bad. It's bad. I'm a radio presenter. I work at Dynamite FM. I went there to go and support. But I've noticed something today. The people who stay around that place, they are dying. Look at my handkerchief. I'm even coughing. The dust on the road. People are selling. Schoolboys are there. They are doing a lot. So why are we suffering? The gold, the diamond, all the stuff are coming from this place. And we are still suffering. We are begging the government. He should come and do something for us. Nananum went to him. He told them that he's coming to fix the road. And still there's no anything like that on the road. We are begging the government. He should do something for us.
Are you aware of the presence of the Lands and Natural Resources Minister and his deputy in this area today?
We don't. I don't. I saw some convoy yesterday. I don't know whether he is in town. I don't know. And we are not doing this because of his presence. We are doing it for ourselves and our children.
Kojo, I don't know what is going to happen for the rest of today, but as I speak to you, the entire Takwa Township is on a lockdown now.
Thank you so much for that, Justice, and we will continue to stay in touch as this particular event develops in Takwa. The road to Takwa currently blocked, and the town reported to be at a standstill as a result of a demonstration by residents of that mining town against some government officials who are present at this time. And the demonstration is about the state of the road that leads into Takwa. Currently, as we speak, about 5 kilometers of traffic has developed as a result of this demonstration. This traffic is not moving, and there is no sign of law enforcement anywhere at the scene. We will continue to bring you more details of this as it evolves. I wonder whether we should take the risk of commenting on this, because it might derail the rest of our conversation if we don't allow it. So I'll permit a minute comment each from both of you, and then we'll get back to what we're discussing. I'll start with you, Mr.
It's a very bad development. It is not for nothing that we have the Public Order Act, and I would imagine if those demonstrators had averted their minds to the Public Order Act. But the other side of the coin is the need for us as a country to embark on a massive infrastructural development, especially in the mining areas, because it is treason. We can't deny it that most of our resources comes from these mining areas, and so we must be interested in putting back in those communities what we get from them. You know, Takwa to Takwade, I know it's a major mining area, and so this action only highlights the importance and relevance of infrastructure, especially roads, in our attempt to develop. Those who think that infrastructure does not mean anything, I'm sure this morning would be having a second thought about it.
Eric.
Well, I feel that as citizens, everyone has a right to express some kind of disquiet or unhappiness when there is certain things that are meant to come to them that doesn't. I just want to caution that we do it in a manner that does not affect other people. So, for instance, if you create such a gridlock, and there are people who are actually going on to do some really important things, or you can even have a sick person or something, it becomes a challenge. I know for a fact that government is committed to solving these issues to do with infrastructure. I mean, just a few minutes ago, we were talking about Sino Hydro and the project. I was just trying to figure out what roads were actually being, as part of the agreement, the phase 1 in the Western region. It looks like some of the roads in Takrady and some parts of Western region are part of it.
Are you sure?
Yes, I mean, I know that Takrady and its environment. I'm not too sure about Takwa, but I'll find out. But what it is that it's government's responsibility to provide these things for the populace, and I'm sure that in the next few days or so there'll be a statement to that effect as to what the strategy is. I mean, I have used that road, even when I went all the way to I think Amenfi West also. Some during the by-election, 2015, 2014, thereabouts. The road was terrible, and some parts of it have been done, even towards a certain point.
When?
Oh.
All right. As I feared,
there are roads being.
I know some parts.
There are roads being done in the western region as we speak. That's not to mean that we have done the Tapa roads. You understand? Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's what we're going to have to round up on. We're not going to be able to get back into our conversation about parliamentary privilege. What I will do, though, just before we go, is read Article 117 of the 1992 Constitution and the part that refers to this particular privilege.
Your story has taken all
it
our time.
Let's also refer you to the same statement from the Speaker of Parliament around 29th of July last year. He expressed same sentiments.
Right.
When the residents of Jinapor could not.
No, but you see, I was trying to find out if when Honorable Kennedy Japon was arrested, if the Parliament or the Speaker at the time was written to under NDC.
Good question.
And it's a good question. Especially when you should give you an opportunity to deal with the diversionary thing that he spoke about.
Unfortunately, there is no time. I'm so sad. But this is the provision in Article 117 of the 1992 Constitution, and I quote: "Civil or criminal process coming from any court or place out of Parliament shall not be served on or executed in relation to the Speaker or a member or the Clerk of Parliament while he is on his way to, attending at, or returning from any proceedings of Parliament." Okay, so actually the language is a lot more clear than we even realized at the beginning. If you are on your way to, attending at, or returning from any proceedings of Parliament, you cannot be arrested. But the Speaker says that this was flouted when the police went to Collins Dowda's home. So what I had hoped we could have understood from the conversation today is, how does the Speaker know that Collins Dowda, while he was at home, was actually on his way to, attending at home or returning from? Yeah, but the police went there assuming he was. So that's what the police did. They went to his home to, as you said, to arrest him. That means they assumed he was at home. And the Speaker says that's wrong. So my question is, how did they know? Anyway.
Same sentiments expressed by Michael Quay.
Anyway, coming up is a conversation about one of the biggest entertainment events on the Ghanaian calendar. It's the Pop Chain All-Star Concert. This is a big, massive live band concert. Happens every year at Plus 233 Jazz Bar and Grill. And of course, today we're going to speak to the organizers of this concert. They do it to raise money for the Sugar Project, which is Joy FM's diabetes awareness initiative. This year, again, a massive lineup of some of the biggest live band stars from the 60s and 70s will be on stage. We'll learn more about it when we come back from these all-important messages.